I wanted to, I've been wanting to create a video for a while describing a parity, a Square-1 parity system that I've never seen before. I don't think I came up with it, but I've never seen anybody else do it. I've never seen it described in any parity documents. And when I described it on the forum, it didn't seem to be really much of a thing. So I came up with it more mathematically than anything. And I've been using it since June of 2021. And it really helps my solves. It took my EP slice count from sometimes in the 20s down to 14. Okay. So greatly reduces slice count. So I'm going to go through this today and describe what UAdge parity system is. So let's, if you're a beginner on Square-1, please go find a video that describes how to solve a Square-1. This is for folks that are beginners trying to get better. I'm in the low 20s. I'd like to get to sub 15. And so I think this will help me. Okay, so there are many different parity systems out there. The easiest one is just Adge parity. This is the 13 slicer. Okay, so it's 13. It's a long slog of an alg. I've researched there's no shorter algs. So if you run into this on half of your solves, doing a 13 slice alg is pretty brutal. And I've seen for beginners, it can mess up comp solves because if you mess up during Adge parity, it can destroy your solve. So, okay, so there's that. That's the beginner way. There's also CP, corner permutation parity, which used to be the thing before cube shape. And this is where you recognize parity during corner permutation. So I look at the top here. So I'm getting ready to do a, okay. So there's parity right there. Okay. But let's say I want to recognize it. Okay. So this looks like an A perm here, but this can't happen. So this is parity. And here looks like we have a J perm on the bottom. So we have parity and no parity. They don't cancel out. So this is a parity. This will end up in parity. So you could see, sure enough, there it is. Okay. This one, okay, so same thing. We have, looks like an A perm. Oh, we got this full bar over here. So this is parity. Oh, and this looks like we have a T perm here, but this can't happen. So this is parity. So we have parity and parity. Those cancel out. So this is a non-parity solve. And sure enough, there we go. Okay. So that was what was used before cube shape came along. Another way is if you recognize parity early on, you can do this H-op, which is, I believe, a 7 slicer. And I'm not going to attempt it. I'm not going to do it now. I don't want to make this video an hour long. But this is what would happen. You do an H-op and there's a bar flip. I think this is a 7 slicer. This is only one alg, but if you were to do this, this would remove parity. And the problem I have with this is, even though it's super easy to do, once I recognize this during EP, it totally messes up my EP and I have to re-recognize it. So I'm recognizing it twice. So to me, that's kind of slow. Okay. Then there's cube shape parity, which is most of the advanced folks are going to. This is where you have, for every cube shape, you have a odd and an even alg, depending on if you can determine parity. That is what, 100 and some algs. So I've heard a lot of it is intuitive, but it takes a long time to do. For some folks, I've heard it takes years. Okay, so this is where UAdge comes in. It is 4 algs. It's easy to recognize. It's easy to execute. It's regripless, and it's only 4 algs. Okay, so I'll go through the beginner's way of doing EP. Okay, so this is where you do adge on EP until you see parity. Either it's adge parity or opposite parity. And if you don't know opposite parity, you can just do an adge until you get to adge parity. The problem is that beginner's EP parity method takes up to 25 slice moves. It's a very long time. It could take half your solve. So you should be able to recognize, for the beginners, as you get better, and like right around 30, 35, you should be able to recognize parity as soon as you hit EP. I've heard from beginners that they just keep doing adge until they see parity and then just do it. I highly recommend you figure out as soon as you hit EP if you have parity. And then you can determine your strategy. That way you're not, doing an alg and then sitting around doing this and then looking for the next alg. Okay, so the way to determine parity in EP is you determine your adge algorithm counts on both the top and the bottom and subtract. And if the difference is even, you don't have parity. If the difference is odd, you do have parity. So I'll just describe this real quick. I'm not going to go into super great detail. So we're just going to look at the top here to determine what I mean. Okay, so this is, of course, solved. Okay, so this is one adge. Okay, this is a 1. So it takes one adge to get to this configuration. Okay. So another thing I want to mention is that there's 10 possible configurations that you'd have on the top and the bottom. So 10 times 10 is 100. So that's why there's 100 EP algs in the full list. There's actually 99 because 100th is a solved case. There's no algorithms. Okay, so this is the only one in the one adge case. So when we move up to 2, okay, so there's a U, and as you can see, there would probably be a, so this is a counterclockwise U. There's also a clockwise U. So let's get rid of that. And so this is a Z. Okay, so Z is another 2 adge count. So that's 3 for the 2 edges. There's also, moving on, there's W. So this is 3. Okay. And let's see if I can get this quickly. Yeah, this is an O. Okay, so this is a counterclockwise O. It's where all the edges just sort of rotate around. I'm sorry, counterclockwise O. You can also do a clockwise O. You saw the W. And then let's see if I can get this is an op. So op looks pretty simple, but it's also a 3. Okay, so the last case is something like this. This is the H perm. That's a 4. Okay, so I've just gone through the 10 cases. 10 times 10 is 100. And so you look at the case that you have on top and then the case you have on bottom. So in this case, we have a U, that's a 2. We have solved on the bottom. The difference is 2, so it's even. There's no parity in this case, as you've seen. Okay, so let's just look at, let's do this. Okay, so this is an O. So this is 3. This is a counterclockwise O, solved. So 3 minus 0 is 3. So that's an odd, so that's parity. Okay, so now you know how to recognize parity. Okay, so let me introduce UAdge. So what beginners do is, like I said, they'll take adge down to, they'll see parity. So the problem is if you have an H on top and H on bottom and you don't recognize that HH is a simple, let me make this a little easier to look at. Okay, so if you had H on top and H on bottom, that's a 4, 4. You'd be doing adge 4 times if you didn't know the HH algorithm. And if you had an HW, so that's 4 minus 3. So you'd be doing adge 3 times to get down to adge parity. So that's, there's 4 slices for each adge. So that's 3 times 4 is 12. Plus the 13 for the parity alg, that's 25. And then if you have a bar flip, that's another 1 or 2. So something like an HW is brutal on EP. Okay, so the way I do this is I take it one step further. Instead of looking at a 1, 0, which is what an adge solved is, I take it one step further. Think of it like a binary tree or something like that. I would do a U adge. So that's a 2, 1, or an adge U, which is a 1, 2. So there are 4 possible configurations of U adge, and they're all mirrors. They're all done during EP. I came up with my own algs for most of them. I just took one and then made the rest mirrors and reciprocals and inverses. That way I can take one and set up another one. Just kind of continue to practice those. They're easy to recognize, they're easy to execute, and for me, what's really important is they're regripless. And so there's significant move count versus the beginner adge. So I described HW. So in my case, that said it was 25 slice moves. In this case, in my case, H down to U is 2 times 4 is 8. 8, and then each of my U edge algs are 10 slicers. So again, that alg is even smaller than the 13 adge parity. So 8 plus 10, that's 18. So 25 minus 18, 7. And I found that for most cases, you'll reduce your slice move count by 7. There's some that are 4. I won't go into that specifically. And even for cases that don't go into U adge, you can convert it to a U adge to make it simpler. Okay, so let's actually look at the 4 U adge algs. So I'm going to set up the first one. Okay, so this is a standard U adge. It's where you have U on top, and I don't even look if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. I look at where the opposite is. The U setup has to be in the front. There's a bar in the back, and then the adge has to be underneath the opposite and also in front. So I call this number 1. So it's where the opposite is. So this is number 1. If it was over here, it'd be number 2. If it was here, it'd be number 3. If it was here, it'd be number 4. 1 is a mirror of 2. 3 is a mirror of 4. Okay, so to set up this 1, I just executed my number 2. Okay, so let's walk through what happens here. So let's see. It's very simple. Look at that. Okay. So let's go into number 2. I'm just doing a number 1 again. There's a number 2. So this is kind of the opposite. A mirror of the number 1. The opposite is over here. Adge is now on this side. Okay, and now I'm just going to do the number 2 alg. And I'm going to put descriptions, the links, the text for all these in the bottom, in the description. Okay, so I just showed you 1 and 2. Let's set up a 3 and a 4. So for this one, I'm going to do a 4. Okay, so this sets up a 4, sets up a 3. Okay, so the opposite is over here. U's on the bottom. So this is a counterclockwise U, edge on top. Again, edge is over the opposite and in the front, bars in the back. Okay, so let's execute the number 3. I'm not used to doing these. Yeah, okay, let's see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So let's set up number 4. Okay, so this is number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is number 4. And to do this, there we go. As you can see, they're all pretty quick. They're all regripless. Okay, so let's do number 1 here. The Scramble will be in the description. Okay, so we have, looks like similar fist. Not going to walk through every step here. Okay, so I recognize because I have a bar here and an opposite here, and this moves over here. This is a U. I don't need to look at the back. I see this as an edge because I have a bar over here, and these are switched. Okay, so I just move that over there. This becomes a 1. The way to move your U is just make sure that you put the bar in the back. So this is the number 1. So I have a bar flip, which I don't care about right now. Okay, so just walk through that. Okay, so I'm going to cancel into bar flip. Solved. Now, that was 10 slices. If a beginner were to do this, this would be U edge, so that's be 4 to do an edge into edge parity. So 4 and 13 is 17. So I just saved you 7 slices right there. Okay, so let's do another one. Okay. All right. When you're solving these, you may get a different EP. Okay, so this is a good one. I like this one. This is a, I recognize this as a U. This is a W. So this is a 2 and a 3. I'm going to have parity. So the way you could reduce this, if a beginner were to do this, this would be 2 edges down to, and you'd have edge on the bottom. So 2 edges, it's 4 plus 13, I'm sorry, 4 times 2 is 8 plus 13 is 21. And then you're going to have a bar flip. So here, I'm going to do 1 edge to reduce this U down to edge and this W down to U. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So this is a 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. And I set up the edge opposite on here, making sure the bar's in the back. So let's just do a number 4. There you go. All right. So, okay, so Scramble number 3. Okay. So, okay, just solving normally here. Okay, looks like we have a U, O. Okay, so again, this is a 2, and this is a 3. This is going to have parity. So I'm going to reduce this U down to edge, and this O down to U. So for O's, I don't care where they're at, and this U is in the right place. So there you go. I've just done an edge to get this down to edge. Well, we have another 4. Okay, but we have a bar flip. So I'm going to execute a number 4 alg again. There you go. All right, so let's do number 4. Okay. Trying to read my notes off the screen there. Okay. All right, so okay, so we have another, well, we have another UW. I'm sorry, we had a UO before, now we have a UW. So Eva Cato in her videos says, I believe, to do an edge here. Most folks would just remove, do an M2 there to get rid of that. Okay, oh look, we got another 4. And cancel the bar flip. Okay, so let's do this one. I think this will be the last one. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Okay, so this ends up just being an edge. So we can do an edge here. I'm going to give you an outlier case. Let's say I forgot the edge and I'm only using U edge. You can convert every EP into a U edge. So just watch this. Okay, so we have, now let's do something else. Let's say I had no bar flip. Okay. So if I know if I do this, I'm going to do an edge and then a bar flip, canceling. It's going to be 14 or 15 slices. So watch as I convert this into a U edge. And, okay, so that's a 2. There you go. Even like opposite parity can be converted into a U edge case. So the only let's see. This is probably the only case that I've seen that is not really conducive into turning into a U edge. I already know this. One, this is a Z edge. So this is also a 10 slicer. I already knew this before I came up with the U edge algs. But if you were to try to convert this, so I could convert this into a U and then get rid of this edge. Yeah. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I just turned that to a number 4. So even on a Z-edge, which has its own alg, you can convert that into a, so that's number 4. All right, so I gave you quite a bit of information here. This is mostly for beginners. Like I said, this will take you down to low 20s. I think this will take me down to sub 20. I'm going to try to move into corner permutation parity before doing cube shape parity. But the benefits of this are you only need to know 4 algs. It's quick recognition, it's regripless, and it greatly reduces your slice count in EP, which is what we're all looking for. Anytime you're going to reduce a slice count, that's going to reduce your times. So hope that helps. Reach out if you have any questions. Have a good one.